This past week, I received an email from a member of my tribe, Best of Us Investors tribe, and it was from a mother who was indicating that she had two children, 6 and 7 years old, and was asking me for advice as to she wanted to create a investment portfolio for them. What should be in that portfolio? Well, I had to tell her that I'm not any longer a licensed financial advisor. I gave up that license in 2005 when I sold my financial planning practice. Thus, I can't give that kind of advice specifically to individuals. So I decided what I would do was instead create a video on it and give my advice, because I think there's one particular stock that needs to be in every young person's portfolio. And I want to tell you the story of the most important discovery in the 21st century and why I think it is the most important and why I think it should be in everybody's portfolio. If you want to learn more about our tribe, you go to bestofusinvestors.com and sign up and send me your email address and your name, and I'll send you an invitation to our Discord. That's where our Discord is where our tribe meets. It's where we discuss things like this. It's how I made contact with this mother. And you'll learn about what we think the best way to invest is. Our objectives are three. One, make good financial decisions based on knowledge and experience. Number two, to keep more of what you make by understanding our tax code. And number three, our ultimate goal is to pass $24 million on to our heirs, which is allowed within the United States estate planning tax code. So I want to tell you about what I think is the most important discovery in 2021 and the most important stock to have in your portfolio. While I'm gone, putting my notes together, subscribe and join our tribe, and then ring the bell so you get notified, and give me a thumbs up. Helps the algorithm. I want to build a tribe of 1 million people. You can help me get there. Be right back.
Best of Us Investors presents Carrie Griegmeyer.
Okay, what is the most important scientific discovery of 2021? Well, let's put it into perspective. What was the most important discovery of the 20th century? I would say there are a number of things that might come to mind. What came to my mind initially was the automobile. And the automobile, there were a lot of inventors of automobiles early in the 1900s, but it was Henry Ford who created the assembly line and made it possible for every man, ultimately every person on Earth almost, to own an automobile. And so that, I would say, would be ranked up there with one of the most important discoveries. Then certainly I think commercial air travel would have to be up there. It changed the way we lived. And also within that realm, I would say the internet. The internet has changed our society, our population dramatically. And so I would say, to give you some perspective, those would be my top three nominations. I'd be interested in you putting in the comments what your top nomination would be for the most important discovery of the 20th century. So let's move forward into my challenge. What is the most important discovery of the 21st century, and what stock represents that most important discovery and should be in everyone's portfolio, particularly a 6 and 7 year old child? It's CRISPR. And CRISPR, for those of you who don't know, and I did not realize this, but there's probably only 5% of the world's population right now who, if I say the word CRISPR, has any idea what I'm talking about. Some of you probably think it's a toaster. Some of you probably think it's some form of food. It's not. It's a change in the way medicine, it's a change in the way our lives are going to be directed over the next 100 years. CRISPR. I've learned a lot about it. I've read a number of books, and I think you should read those books. You'll find them at our website in our library, and I'll talk more about that. But just this weekend, I found an article that said that Dan Rather used to be the anchor of CBS National News, but he got in a fight with George Bush and he lost. He produced a documentary on CRISPR. It's called Human Nature. I want you to be aware of it, and the best way I can do that is show you about a 2-minute trailer on the human nature dealing with CRISPR. So watch this video.
I remember him saying, remember this word, CRISPR.
We've never had the ability to change the fundamental chemical nature of who we are, and now we do. And what do we do with that?
This doctor told me, just hold on, there's something coming.
You can actually use CRISPR to change DNA. You can actually do it.
We could engineer a single gene that could potentially make us all more muscular. But should we make that universally available?
Что человек может создавать человека, который может воевать без страха и без боли. И вот то, о чем я сейчас сказал, может быть страшнее ядерной бомбы.
Should we really be manipulating the heredity of future generations, given our lack of knowledge about so many things?
I don't know where you draw the line between not having albinism and deciding your kid needs to be an extra foot taller so they can be a good oarsman and go to Yale. Where is that line? Who's going to draw that?
Anything that will stop my child from suffering, I'm for.
You know, draw this ethical line wherever you want, but don't draw it in front of my disease.
What does that mean for this science, where we have the capacity to edit in some things that we think are important? Are we playing God?
You don't realize it's disruptive until you look backward. Often you don't realize that you're in the middle of a revolution until after the revolution has occurred.
I think the video does a pretty good job of presenting what this is all about. To give you some background, it started back in the 1990s and genome sequencing and recognizing that we could alter the genes of not only crops, but also human beings and make some major changes. The first genome sequencing was done in the year 2000, and it cost something in the neighborhood of, I think it was $2.2 billion. As that is becoming more affordable, that is, it now costs about $100, it is going to become a part of our life, much as the video said. And there are some ethical questions around it. You have the opportunity to invest in it. You have the opportunity to buy the stock CRISPR. It will change the world we live in. The question is, to what extent? As the video said, I don't think there's anybody who's going to object to if you are in first stage breast cancer and someone has a therapy involving CRISPR that can take that breast cancer out of your body. I don't think anybody's going to object to you getting that done. I don't think your insurance company is going to object to you getting that done. In fact, they will probably pay for it. So that's not an issue. Where the issue comes is when two 22-year-olds show up at a fertility clinic and say, we'd like you to alter the genes of our sperm and our egg, and we would like a 6'2", blonde-haired, blue-eyed young lady with double muscle mass and a extremely high IQ. Can you take care of that for us? I think at that point there's some ethical problems. There's some problems relative to who can afford it and who can't afford it, and are we creating two separate societies? That's an issue that's in the future, and it has to be addressed, and it will be addressed. But again, I think why I want you to invest in CRISPR as a stock, and then some of the other biotech stocks that are going to use CRISPR, I think this is the decision you need to make today. Along that line, I think it's important that you don't buy it just because of the video you just saw and what Carrie is telling you, but I think you need to educate yourself. And this is something I was thinking about the other day. I do a lot of reading, and yet I'm dyslexic, so I don't like to read. I struggle to read the Wall Street Journal every morning, but I use Audible. Audible is owned by Amazon. It basically translates any book that I want to read, for the most part, into a listening word. I put it on my phone, I put my AirPods on, I go for a walk, and I'm educated. I was thinking, if I had a 6- and 7-year-old child and I wanted to educate them, I would probably be thinking about sending them to Harvard or Yale or some fancy university. But if that was not available to me, I think if I signed them up for Audible for $16 a month, and I got them to listen to the kind of books that I listen to. This one is Lifespan. This one is The Crack in Creation. Both of them dealing with CRISPR, both of them dealing with the changes that are going to come to our society as a result of the most important scientific discovery in 2021. I could educate them to where they would have knowledge that 95% of the rest of the world doesn't have right now. And what would it cost? What would it cost you to be educated in this way? Well, as I say, Audible comes at a cost of $16 a month, and most of these books run somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 to 6 hours of your time. So if for every month you could spend $16 and spend 6 hours and have a better education than 95% in the world in the subject that you choose to learn, why wouldn't you do that? Why haven't you done that? I have on my website all the books that I have read that have given me the knowledge that I have so that I can be a better investor. But how many of you have invested $16 a month and 6 hours of your time to educate yourself? Why aren't you doing this? If you want to know more about these books, go to my website, Best of Us Investors, and you'll find my library. What has gotten me to where I am? But let's get back to CRISPR. Folks, it's going to change the world. It is what the automobile was. When Henry Ford invented the assembly line and made automobiles available to everyone, that's what CRISPR is going to do. It is now moved down from $2.2 billion of sequencing to $100 and eliminating disease. This is a stock that needs to be in every one of your portfolios. Then beyond that, you need to focus on biotech, because as a result of the coronavirus and what it's done to our world and what it's done to our economy, there is going to be so much focus on CRISPR, on EDIT, on Pacific Biotech, on Illumina, that you need to know these names and these companies inside and out, and you need to get in front of the most important scientific discovery in the 21st century. We've got roughly 80 more years in this century, and you have just been introduced to the most important scientific discovery of this century. And you have an opportunity to own part of it. Why wouldn't you do that? Put it in your child's, your grandchild's. It's in my grandchildren's portfolio. It needs to be in yours. And then educate yourself. Sign up for Audible. Go in the description or go to the library at Best of Us Investors. Find one of these books, and while you're there, buy it on Audible. Okay? And then commit yourself to, I'm going to become the smartest person in the room about what I want to know about. I had coffee this morning with two people who are in the medical profession, or were. They're now retired. And I asked them, are you aware of CRISPR? Have you seen the Human Nature on Netflix? They had no idea. I am one of 5%. You are now one of 5%. Profit on it. Buy the right stocks, educate yourself, and become a 5%er. Okay, it's Sunday, so I'm allowed to preach. I'll get another video out and talk to you tomorrow.